business community, media, and then we've scheduled and held several meetings with various high office holders, past and present, just to get a broad sense of their views around this process. We will be embarking on a nationwide, much wider open-ended public engagement in the next few weeks. But before that, we thought we would deal with two main outstanding thematic areas that we're yet to consider, and citizenship is one of them. As you well know, like most constitutions, Ghana's constitution gives broad protections, not just to citizens, but to anybody and everybody within the jurisdiction of Ghana. So our entire chapter on the Bill of Rights, when it talks about the individuals or the persons who may benefit from that chapter of the Constitution, it speaks in terms of persons, not just citizens. There are a few rights, such as the right to vote, that are reserved for citizens, but otherwise, the Constitution, especially in its protections and rights, apply to all persons who are within this jurisdiction. Beyond that, there are a number of issues with citizenship, how one acquires it, and various matters related to that, which are of importance and of interest to many people, both Ghanaian and non-Ghanaian. So we thought, since we're reviewing the Constitution, we should extend a broad invitation to those who may have particular concerns, particular issues or problems with either the citizen chapter of the Constitution or their status within this jurisdiction as non-citizens. So that is the purpose of this conversation. And we have received some written submissions, I believe, from some of you who are here. And the idea is to basically have you state the issue that concerns you or your particular constituency, and then so that the committee would have the benefit of your input into the process, and so that we can also get to understand what it is that you're worried about and what it is that how that might affect the kind of report that we issue at the end of the process. So that in a nutshell is why we're having this meeting, and I'm glad that many of you have made the time for the meeting. We are a committee of 8. My name is Kwesi Prempe. I'm the chair of the committee. I see that several other members of the committee are here. Justice Sophia Adinyira is online. She's a member of the committee, a former justice of the Supreme Court. I think Alhaji Ibrahim Tanko is here, a member of the committee. I see Dr. Godwin Jokoto is here as well, a member of the committee. And there are others who are using the...
Chair, I'm here. Chair, I'm also here, Charlotte.
Sure. This is Mrs. Charlotte Osei, a member of the committee, and other members of the Secretariat, I think, are also here. So I think we can start, and perhaps it would be appropriate to have the participants also introduce, have you introduce yourselves in no particular order, but if you can, whoever takes the floor can just introduce themselves and let us know what organization, if any, you are representing, or if you are just here in your individual capacity, that is fine as well. Okay, thank you. Would like to go first? I see Rebecca Asari.
Good morning, Prof. Yes.
Morning.
Nice to see you, Mike. Nice to meet you, and thank you for this invitation and this session. I'm Rebecca Asari. I'm the chairperson of the International Spouses Association of Ghana. So myself and a few others here, we are foreigners married to Ghanaians or Ghanaians married to foreigners. And so this discussion is of prime interest for us.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Mohammed Habib Ali Gali. I'm the Executive Director for Center for Youth and Literacy Development in Kumasi here. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
We hear you.
yeah, I think it's a privilege, being allowed to be part of this important discussion. I'm one of the, I'm an indigenous Zungu person. One of the reasons that I think this discourse is very important to us is that most of the time, when we seek to get for any national identity, we have problem. So we are put in the context of our ethnic identity, despite the fact that we have been in existence for the past 200-300 years within the Zungu community. That's why I use the word indigenous Zungu, indigenous Zungus. So I think this discourse is something very important to us, and we can make a little input going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mohammed Nuruddin Abubakar Ali. I'm the acting chairman of the Zongo Hausa Youth Association of Ghana and also the president of Zongo Forum. And I'm very happy for this conversation, and I also thank my other brother, Sheikh Ridwan, for pushing the agenda. I think along we'll have some experiences to share for identification in Ghana.
Fantastic. You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Good
good
morning. Good morning. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Ahmed Tijani Abubakar Ali. Hello?
Please
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
We hear you.
Yeah, my name is Ahmed Tijani Abubakar Ali. Yeah, please, I'm happy to join this conversation because as my brother said, Mama Habib Gali and Nuruddin, we are all indigenous Zongos. So we are facing so many problems in getting our ID here in Ghana. So I'm privileged. I'm very happy to join this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. I can't see
And
you.
to other cherished panel members. My name is Hafiz Abubakar.
Okay.
I work with
Hafiz.
Alpha Radio in Kumasi.
Okay. Fantastic.
I'm happy to be part of this discussion. When the time is due, I'll make some few proposals or suggestions. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
I'm Brooks Robinson. I'm on the executive committee of the International Spouses Association of Ghana.
Good to see you, Brooks.
Hello, good morning, Prof. Yeah, and I'm
Good
Tony
morning.
Dogbe. I'm Tony Dogbe, married to a foreigner. So I'm here from that angle of those of us married to
Fantastic.
foreigners. So I'm on the
Fantastic.
ISAC ticket.
Fantastic. Welcome, sir. Good. Okay, so
Hello.
yes, please go ahead. Ms. Akosia.
Good morning. I'm Nana Akosia, and I'm the president
Akosia.
of the African American Association of Ghana. And
Good.
I am here to represent historically unique group of descendants from Africa. And whereas we do not consider ourselves as foreign. So thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Hello, Prof.
Any? Go ahead.
My name is Hansa.
Please go ahead. Ansao, yes, please go ahead. You are muted. Could you please unmute?
Okay.
I have.
Sure.
Please,
Go.
my name is Kansal Ridwan, and I'm here. I'm here on behalf of people like me that one parent is a Ghanaian and the other parent is known to be like, it's not a Ghanaian but it's a Ghanaian.
Get you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then,
Any-
if I may,
Hello.
Irene.
Irene?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Irene Ansah Asari. I'm
Sure.
here with ISAG, International Spouses Association of Ghana. Was married to a foreigner, and I have children of dual citizenship.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Great. Great.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Isa, calling from United Kingdom.
Good.
Yeah, calling from United Kingdom. I'm representing myself. Was my mom, she's a Ghanaian, but my dad is they used to call us foreigner. I don't take it as a foreigner.
Fantastic. Thank you, Isa. Any other any person participating who hasn't introduced? Yes.
Hello. Good
Yes,
morning.
please. Go ahead.
My name is Bala Mohammed from Ghana, an indigenous Zongo boy that represents Kumasi Hausa Youth Association. Thank you.
Thank you. And once you're done, could you unmute so that when whoever is presenting takes the floor, we can hear their presentation without any noise from the background. Okay, I think, are we done? So we can just plunge straight into the conversation. Of course, the subject of citizenship is oftentimes a very emotive one. One's status in a particular jurisdiction determines a whole range of things. And for those of us who have also been lived in other countries or been immigrants elsewhere, or maybe have dual citizenship or the like. I mean, we know how these things go and how sometimes difficult these conversations can be. But I think it's all the more reason why we must we feel we must spend some time in this process talking about these issues. So I'm happy that so many of you from a wide range of constituencies and backgrounds have joined in this conversation. Usually, I'm more familiar with these conversations being held amongst Ghanaians in the diaspora, Ghanaians by birth, who are usually asking for dual citizenship or have problems with their dual citizen status in Ghana. I'm sure we will have that opportunity too, because we will engage the Ghanaian diaspora separately, and I'm sure some of that will filter through. But this is from the range of backgrounds represented here. I think this is going to be a different kind of conversation and not one about native-born Ghanaians who have grappling with issues of dual citizenship and their status in Ghana. So thank you for coming. My program that has been shared by the Secretariat has the first item being a submission or a presentation by the representative of ISAG, International Spouses Association of Ghana, as I understand it. And I think you are well represented here. I'm assuming that Rebecca will be doing the presentation. If not, whoever it is, please, you can have the floor now.
Thank you, Prof. I don't have a formal presentation, but just a few points that we wanted to speak to. And yes, I'll represent us, but I'm sure if Irene or Tony or Brooks has any small points to make, they will also join. If you'll permit me, I wanted to just give a brief introduction to ISAG. ISAG was founded 30 years ago with the purpose of advocating on behalf of foreign spouses. So at the time, many foreigners Now I think we're at a point where we have representation from over 40 countries. So across the world, we are a very diverse group of people brought together by our common love of our families and love of Ghana, and but coming together to support each other in the absence of having family, and also or for our broader families, and then to advocate on behalf of our rights. And so over the last decades, ESAG was very successful in advocating on behalf of foreign spouses with the passage of the 2000 Immigration Act, which came to formally recognize foreign spouses as a distinct category. And that was part of the creation of indefinite residence permits. So one of those types of indefinite permits is for foreign spouses. And following that, we advocated in the passage of the GIPC bill. So also eliminating the foreign investment requirements on foreign spouses. I think it's about $500,000. So if a foreign spouse, a spouse of a Ghanaian, wanted to start a business under GIPC, that would have been financially almost impossible without that recognition and provision. But we find ourselves, so while the indefinite residence permit has been transformational, I think you can imagine it allows us to work and to stay and to live here, be part of our Ghanaian families. Some of our members are now able to apply for dual citizenship. I'm originally from the US. I've been here now 20 years. So I can be in the process to apply for citizenship. But not all of our members are able to do that. So there are certain countries that don't allow dual citizenship. And so we are very interested to look at opportunities to have constitutional recognition of foreign spouses. So it's not just sitting in particular legislation, but it has the opportunity to be more widespread. And then to explore with you an additional clause, perhaps under Article 7, that would confer rights similar to dual citizenship, let me say commensurate with our spouses, such that a person didn't have to decide to be one or the other, but to have their rights and certain financial obligations reduced constitutionally, and not have it sit just with Parliament, not have it be required with particular pieces of legislation. So for example, we are now challenged with the National Identification Act, because while we're recognized under immigration law, we are not recognized under the NIA Act. And therefore, foreign spouses are required every year to pay in dollars equivalency for the non-citizen card. And that can be a significant financial burden on many of our members, many whom now are, I would say about half are pensioners. So living on the pensions of their husbands or wives. But it's very difficult for us to overcome that, because we are reminded, yes, but you're not a Ghanaian, you're a foreigner. And so while some can pursue citizenship, others cannot. So those are recognizing foreign spouses constitutionally, looking at a provision that would extend rights in the absence of being able to apply for citizenship. And then our third point, or important sort of where we're coming from, is maintaining the rights of dual citizens. It's in addition to ourselves becoming dual citizens, as Irene said, our children are dual citizens. And allowing them to become, the brilliant people that they are and contribute to Ghana to their full extent. So looking at how they can hold additional offices potentially, and just, I would say my top concern is please do not rescind any of those rights. If I can just ask, Tony, do you have anything to contribute there as a husband, as a spouse, a Ghanaian spouse?
Yeah, just to say, like Rebecca, you said, I mean, there's been a lot of progress. I remember the years when almost every year I have to go and apply for rights of residence for my wife. And so with the Immigration Act allowing for permanent residency, at least my wife can feel now she's not dependent on me. You know, and therefore I mean, I don't use that to more or less intimidate her and say, well, if you don't behave, I won't, you know, apply for, you know. I think these are very important, even in terms of human dignity. And it's a bit, again, frustrating now, where, for instance, though the under the Immigration Act, this recognition is given to foreign spouses. Now it comes to, I know we've been to the what do you call it? This where they make the card. We've been there severally to try and see if this could be synced in so that our spouses can also automatically get the Ghana card, you know, but then it's like, no, we don't have to go and change it and act in parliament, you know, and it's like one arm is not speaking to the other, you know, and sometimes it's once the state sees that it can get some money out of people, it's not easy to let go, you know. So, you know, so this happens, and then yeah, so it's been a bit tough that every year we now have to go. So I think it's about recognizing the contribution that these foreign spouses make to the country, the commitment, and like Rebecca said, many have lived here and even gone on pension in this country and contributed throughout that. And I think it's just right that as we progress as a country, we extend some of these rights to them. If nothing at all, many of them have born children for us, you know. That's a major contribution. Yeah. So that's what I will add to what Rebecca has said. I think Irene also wants to add to that.
Yes, Irene.
Thank you, Prof. And just a couple of quick points to add on to what my colleagues have said. There is an even more distinct group of foreigners married to Ghanaians, where the Ghanaian is a woman and married to a male foreigner. We find that there's an additional hurdle in the Constitution under Article 7(6), where the man is the foreigner. They do not have the same rights as women married to Ghanaians, in the sense that the man will have to show that he's permanently resident in Ghana before he can make any application to register. And that can be quite onerous on the family, especially where there are children involved. And that goes on also where acquisition of property becomes necessary, especially where they have Ghanaian children and they may want to leave property for the Ghanaian children. You know, they have the restrictions where they can't have leases of more than 50 years and can't pass it on to their Ghanaian children. So we believe that that restriction that creates additional hurdles, I think, for the Ghanaian women who are married to foreigners would have to endure. They can't have their husbands with them. A lot of the time, they have to keep going in and out of the country if they don't apply to be citizens. So that's one point. And especially when it comes to inheritance rights for the children who are dual citizens. And then specifically in relation to the children who are dual citizens, we believe that there should be a distinct category created for children who are born dual citizens, as opposed to those who acquire an additional citizenship. Because my children, for example, say to me, they've lived all their lives in Ghana at the moment, but they can't hold certain positions. Even if they want to go into them, it's not their fault that their father was not Ghanaian. But, you know, for example, they haven't chosen to acquire another citizenship, and they can't be stripped of their other citizenship because that's also by birth. So that is a distinct category that ought to be created for the children of the members of ESAC, because all those children are citizens by birth of both the parents' countries. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you all for these important insights that you have shared with us. I do not know if any one of my members is an expert in citizenship law. I am not. So I'm quite fortunate to have had you share these insights with us. Just so how we usually proceed here is that once a set of presentations are made on a particular subject matter, then the committee members take turns if they have questions to seek clarification or to interrogate the issue further, trying to get a firm understanding of what exactly is being asked of the committee by way of proposal or recommendation, and also some clarification. So I will open this up to the members of the committee. When it gets to me, I will take my turn. But if any member wants to go first, please, members, you are invited to ask your questions or make your comments or seek clarification as the case may be. There's no
question for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Justice Adinura or Mrs. Osei or Godwin?
Okay, I don't really have a question. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Godwin Jokoto. I'm a member of the committee. And let me say that thank you very much for the various contributions you have made, and you've drawn our attention to some very important matters in relation to citizenship. Now, what I just want to be sure about is whether the requests you are making have not been provided for by legislation, or it's your case that you want these statutory provisions to be elevated to constitutional protection. That's what you are asking.
Okay. All right. So you'll get the opportunity to respond. You can take the questions together and then respond. Okay. So let me ask mine. So as I understand, so Rebecca, from your initial presentation, clearly there's been some progress, at least at the statutory level. The Immigration Act now does recognize foreign spouses and accords them accords them access to indefinite residence, if I understand it, as a statutory right, which entitles such persons to work and stay in Ghana without having to go renew your resident permit every year. Then the GIPC Act exempts or provides an exemption, if that's the right word, for such foreign spouses, persons who are already covered by the 2000 Immigration Act, as I understand it, are no longer subject to the GIPC thresholds that apply for foreigners who want to do business in Ghana and must show that they have some amount of money and the like. So those are the two things that I have noted here. Nonetheless, you're saying that when it comes to the NIA Act, the National Identification Act, then the privileges that are accorded under Immigration Act or the GIPC Act do not carry over, and the foreign spouses don't have difficulty. And do not have access to the Ghana card, except the one for non-citizens, which has to be which is only for like a year or so, has to be renewed at a certain fee annually. Then, so the request here, as my colleague just mentioned, I think what you are saying that even in those areas where there's been progress, to the extent that it is in statute, it's not, as permanent as you would like, and that you would prefer some constitutional recognition of that as well. Then there is the issue of the status of children. And I think here I may need a bit of clarification. So from Irene, you have mentioned that Article 7.6, there is some, I guess, some inherent discrimination there when it comes to foreigners who are married to a Ghanaian woman, as opposed to Ghanaian man. So the Article 7.6, I would need a bit of clarification exactly how this works. If you could compare it or contrast it to the foreigner who is married to a Ghanaian man, and exactly where the defect or the disparity is. You also did mention its implications for like leaseholds, and of course we know that under Ghanaian law, foreigners or persons who are not Ghanaian may only hold leaseholds for a certain number of years. Then there's a more interesting last point about those who are dual citizens by birth, which would be a certain category of Ghanaian children of foreign spouses, or Ghanaian foreign spouses, or any one of those, right? So these are persons who are not dual citizens by naturalization, but by operation of the law in various countries, are dual citizens. And your argument is that to the extent that certain laws in Ghana currently exclude dual citizens without exception from holding certain offices, that these persons who are dual citizens, not by choice, but involuntarily so, are then unduly, I guess, burdened or unduly penalized. And so if we could remove that disability or disadvantage, at least with respect to that group. I think that point is probably the clearest one for me. So for Rebecca, if you could explain, you made a point about, so for some of the foreign spouses, the road to naturalization is now open. I don't know the process. I don't know if the number of years, but you are saying that it's different for others. So you could be a dual citizen because US law does not stop it and Ghana law does not stop it currently. But you're saying that for others, they are unable to take advantage of that. But would that be because Ghana law doesn't allow it? I mean, Ghana law allows dual citizenship. So if for those other categories of foreign spouses, would it not be because their country, their original country, the laws in the country of birth are really where the obstacle is, and not Ghanaian law necessarily, right? So if you could explain that a little bit, if you make yourself clear on that, and then if Irene could explain the Article 7.6, especially contrast that against the status of a foreigner married to a Ghanaian man, and let me see clearly how this disadvantage operates. It would be helpful. Thank you.
There, Prof, you have the story right, you have the arc right. In terms of the question on, we've been successful with particular legislation, and so do we really need a constitutional provision? To that, I would say, yes, we've been successful, but we've worked very hard. It's not You know, it requires a tremendous amount of energy and effort. And if we do that,
sorry, Adam Bello, could you mute your phone? Thank you. Please go ahead, Rebecca.
So the energy and effort required with each piece of legislation, with each, you know, going to Ministry of Finance and setting fees, it's a burden. We've been successful with immigration. We've not been successful with NIA. We have been there many occasions, had very productive, we thought, open meetings, but there has been no interest. I followed.
And you're making of the NIA.
Specifically. Yeah. So we saw it, and I subsequently went through Ministry of Interior. What we've asked for is that the fee structure for foreign spouses is not the same as the fee structure of what one might call other foreigners. You know, when you think about those affiliated with large companies, big projects, sort of the O'Brien perspective, right? So we are not coming with the same financial resources, and we are here to live here. Ghana is our home. So we're seeking parity with our spouse. Where in the discussion with the Ministry of Interior, we imagined perhaps instead of a every year renewal, there could be a 10-year renewal. Perhaps instead of annual fees, you could have a one-time, you know, lump sum payment. Some sort of iteration. But recognizing foreign spouses as a distinct category.
I see.
Unfortunately, the door just has remained shut. From various angles, it continues to go back to NIA for comment, and there was no interest in having the conversation.
Adam Bello, could you please mute your, thank you.
So in that respect, that's why it would be, if there was a provision within the Constitution to recognize foreign spouses as that distinct category, then it gives us that opportunity to be within legal provision or within statutory law to recognize it, and that has to be addressed.
I see.
Without that, people don't even think of us most of the time.
So basically, when it comes to the national ID, the issue here for the foreign spouses is that are you treated same as expats or worse than expats or some such. So basically, you are lumped in with those who are not here, living here permanently.
Yes.
Exactly. So your permanent resident status doesn't matter.
Our permanent resident status, our permanent spouses of Ghanaian status doesn't matter.
Okay.
Recognizing that there is recognition of ECOWAS status within NIA, there's recognition of different categories.
I see.
Taking it to and that's just on NIA. As Irene mentioned, there's a land ownership, inheritance. It cuts across legislation, and so recognizing that category is of importance to us. In terms
is it possible to share with us the specific, say, in each of the acts that you are referring to? Is it possible to share with us in maybe a subsequent, you could sorry. Is it possible to share with us the specific provisions that are the problem, right? So if in the NI Act or LI, if there's some particular provision that is the offensive or problematic one, could you share that with us? If it's in the Immigration Act or GIPC Act, if there's any particular statute that is the problem, it would be helpful to us to see the language and what it is that is the issue.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
I think you asked about obstacles. Just a quick. In terms of those who are not allowed to apply for citizenship, you're right. It sits with the other country. However, again, If I can give you an example, we have a member who she's 75. She came to Ghana over 50 years ago. She raised 3 children here. She worked as a local hire. She's German and worked as a local hire at the German embassy. So she was not paid as an expat. She was paid a Ghanaian local hire salary. And her husband is now in the, going through dementia. He's legally blind, etc. She receives some, I'm not German, but Social Security, I would say, from the German government. So her ability to take care of her husband, maintain the home, rests on, she cannot renounce her German citizenship.
Sure.
So that's where looking for, and then in terms of her obligations in Ghana as a foreigner, right? Being categorized as the foreigner. So that's this question of, is it possible within some additional clause under Article 7 of the Constitution to recognize this category of a foreign spouse that would then open the way to commensurate fees, treatment under the law with our Ghanaian partners?
Would this recommendation turn on, say, the number of years that one has lived here, or in the, because in this
yes,
instance,
one would need to think about not having it be something to be exploited, right? You don't want it to suddenly become a gateway to something more. I think there could be a discussion, for sure.
Okay, again, propose a language. Help us with what it is that you think a remedy might look like on paper. If it doesn't have to be legalistic, just your idea of what the remedy might look like. I think Tony. Tony had his hand up first. And
Yeah, I've taken it down because I think Rebecca has expressed
Good morning.
some of the points.
Okay.
So maybe
okay, Irene, sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. I believe if I may make a reference to Article 7, Clause 2, just as an example, where Article 7, Clause 2 says, and I quote, Clause 1 of this article applies also to a person who was married to a person who, but for his or her death, would have continued to be a citizen of Ghana under Clause 1 of Article 6 of this Constitution. So if we use that as an example of the kind of language we're looking for, we're looking for a clause that would say, but for being restricted by the natal country, all the rights that would have accrued to a foreign spouse of a Ghanaian citizen should not be left to Parliament to legislate in each individual scenario, because otherwise it could be anything that comes up, and every time ISAG would have to go back to lobby for specific rights for foreign spouses. So if the only thing that prevents that foreign spouse from falling within Clause 1 of Article 7, which is that because they are married to a Ghanaian citizen, they're eligible to apply to be registered as such, then it kind of like is with the children who are born dual citizens. But for the fact that they have this from the natal country, they would have been given those rights. So I think that's what we're looking for. So there's provision made for if the Ghanaian spouse has passed away, but for the death, they would have enjoyed the rights of that Ghanaian. I think that if we could have something that says, but for the restriction created from the natal country, on dual citizenship, they would have been able to enjoy those rights, so that we don't have to leave it to Parliament every time to decide whether to create a special category for foreign spouses or not.
So if the idea is accepted in principle, or if there appears to be some political consensus around a particular principle, then
Indeed.
we might as well enshrine it in the Constitution than leave it to legislation that has to be negotiated or maybe reenacted or could be repealed
Indeed.
time, that kind of stuff.
Indeed.
Okay.
Because this
Okay.
is really a special category of persons.
Okay. Okay. So the chapter is fairly the chapter on citizenship, or at least the relevant parts. I presume these would be starting from almost Article 7, from clause 1 to 6, are really the relevant parts that you are mostly concerned with.
That's right.
And
then clause 6, Prof,
Sure,
with the
sure,
additional
exactly.
burden, yes.
So 1 to clause 6, again, to assist the committee really understand this and have a better clarity on this, where there are insertions to be made, deletions to be made, or being proposed, could you again assist us with, if you were to do the whole of Article 7, in your own image, as you would like it to read, all the way to clause 6, how do you do it? Could you assist us with a proposal like that is framed that way, so it's easier for us to fit it in with the conversation?
Yes, Prof. For example, we would propose to delete clause 6 at the moment, which reads, quote, in the case of a man seeking registration.
Mm-hmm.
Clause 1 of this article applies only if the applicant permanently resides in Ghana. And that's the end of that quote. That restriction doesn't apply to women seeking registration. So imagine a family that, has located to Ghana with children. The father cannot be part of that family because they have to keep leaving if they are not permanent residents, and they have to qualify for permanent residence somehow. And that's not automatic. And so that affects the family unit. That restriction doesn't apply where the man is Ghanaian. So that's a problem. And then also for that particular man, everything else that flows from it, if they want to have a business in Ghana or acquire property in Ghana, it wouldn't pass on to the children of that marriage. So we want clause 6 as it stands now to be deleted in its entirety. But perhaps to be replaced with a new clause 6 that makes reference to clause 1, where the exact wording doesn't come to me, but where we would recognize that the rights accruing from clause 1 would still apply to a foreign spouse who, but for a restriction from their natal country, would have been eligible to apply to be registered as a citizen of Ghana. Something along those lines. Because all it means...
So can we just, can I just recruit you as the pro bono lawyer for the group and just give us this in writing? I mean,
yes, Prof. Yes.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I see that Miss Charlotte Osei's hand is up. Hello.
Yes. Thank you. I was actually going to suggest the same thing, that we need something in writing. It's been very sad listening to this. It's almost as if we don't even want Ghanaians to marry foreigners. It's just very bizarre. And I think we've been one of the nations who have benefited the most from marrying foreigners and acquiring citizenships in other places. And I'm just, as they're speaking, I'm thinking of the implications on land ownership, on situations where there's domestic violence, or this could actually create a catalyst for domestic violence. Inheritance situations. It's just bizarre. Right to own property, start a business. It doesn't make any sense that we would actively discourage marriage and the family unity in such a manner. It's just an outrageous abuse of human rights. I think something really has to change. And yes, I think it would be absolutely helpful to have something in writing, just so that when we get into the deliberation stage, we do not get some of the issues that are coming out of this.
Yeah. Thank you. We're back to Tony.
Yeah, just to add quickly that even the issue of property is the same for instance, my wife who is, she's a woman, and again, generally, she can't acquire land. You know, I can acquire, but she can't acquire. So when we wanted to build our house, the land had to be in my name, of course. So it means, again, if this again leaves room for abuse. Okay, which means she's living at the benevolence of the husband. And if the husband decides to end the marriage, she lives with nothing. She can't acquire property in her own right and things like that. So I think that applies to both men and women. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for this additional clarification. No, I think it's helpful because in making
Prof, unmute yourself.
Sorry. No, I'm saying that this is helpful because I think the better we understand the nature of the hardship and injustice or oppression that this imposes on a particular category of persons, the better it is for us to make proposals and recommendations around that, because each recommendation or proposal we make must be backed up by a certain explanation of the status quo and the way in which it might be offensive. I think what we have, from listening to you, I think we've taken almost a very binary position in the law. You are either a foreigner or you're a Ghanaian, and there are all kinds of shades of gray in between that we haven't, our laws do not appear to have sufficiently accounted for. And so, for example, this example that Tony gives about ownership of land and how it immediately disentitles your spouse from, basically being a co-owner of land that you may have jointly acquired on certain terms, right? That your portion of the interest is weightier than the foreign spouses because they cannot hold a certain species of interest in land in Ghana and that kind of stuff. So I think it would be really, really helpful, and maybe your submissions already I haven't read fully the submissions, but maybe what requests we're making, especially of Irene and Rebecca, would be extremely helpful here in terms of just laying out what you think the remedies would look like, and maybe a footnote here and there explaining exactly how the current status quo operates oppressively on a particular category. I think that would be very helpful. Thank you very much. Any other questions, or barring that, we move to the next constituency or next presentation? Does anybody have anybody from the Secretariat, Kweku, or is Noah on the call? If you have, okay, all right, sure, okay, cool. Thank you very much. This has been very enlightening. Then we do have a submission by the representative of the African American Association of. Please, you have the floor. Ms. Akosia, Onana Akosia, are you still here? Hello? Hello? If you're speaking, can you please unmute? Hello? Nana, I'm trying to get your attention. Nana Kusia, if you're speaking, could you please unmute?
Prof, I've noticed that we are no longer able to unmute ourselves. It's been locked. So I just wrote a message in the chat, but I'm sure she can't speak. Someone just unmuted me. Maybe someone can unmute. Nana.
Even I have been. I think there's been.
Nana Kusa, I think you can unmute yourself now. Mute, but I think you can unmute now.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry for that. Thank you. I was unable to unmute myself for a while.
Yeah, it was from our end.
Respectfully, I would like to request an additional session for the constitutional review, since the diasporans are not a homogeneous group of people. And we have various voices that would have input on the constitutional review. So I asked the committee to consider that first and foremost, that we schedule an additional session for the historically unique descendants, or those of us that are seeking citizenship by heritage. And I would like to make a few points, if I'm allowed to. Okay, so I want to say that as I sit here, I'm standing on more than 20 plus years of different members of the diaspora coming to petition Parliament for some of the same points that I'm about to make. So I stand on those shoulders that have already come before me. And what I would like to say is that while Ghana has taken some historic steps to welcome African diasporans, most notably through initiatives like the Year of the Return and presidential grants of citizenship, the current constitution lacks clear and inclusive provisions for granting and protecting citizenship rights for diasporans, especially African Americans and Caribbeans, and those returning by heritage. And this creates several legal and practical conflicts. So just to name a few, the first one is we don't have a lack of heritage-based pathway. So although the presidents through presidential acts have been awarding citizenship, the Constitution of Ghana does not formally recognize or codify citizenship by ancestry for descendants of enslaved Africans, despite public commitments to Pan-Africanism. So unlike countries like Sierra Leone, which have created structured DNA ancestry-based pathways to citizenship, Ghana's constitution relies solely on presidential discretion rather than legal entitlements for diasporan citizenship grants. And so, two, my second point is those who receive citizenship through presidential acts, 2016, myself in 2019, 2022, 2024, through those ceremonies, they do so outside of a predictable legal framework. So these acts are not enshrined in statutory law, and they leave recipients they leave us without guaranteed protections or avenues for appeal. So future administrations are not obligated to continue the practice, nor are they bound by any consistent criteria. And then my third point, I asked this question at the beginning, is like, what's the legal definition in Ghana of dual citizenship? Because although dual citizenship is legally permitted, the process is bureaucratically complex and inconsistently applied. Diasporans often face confusion about rights to own land, to vote, or to work in the public sector. And so the Constitution does not explicitly safeguard the rights of dual citizens in these areas, leading to unequal treatment and uncertainty. And some of those, rights were just spoken about. They also apply to diasporans. And the biggest one, exclusion from political participation. The Constitution excludes non-natural born citizens from holding certain public offices, and it is unclear how these rules apply to diasporans granted citizenship through executive action. This creates a second-class citizen status where some citizens enjoy fewer rights and civic participation options despite full allegiance to Ghana. And then my last point is there's no protection for future generations. So since there's no constitutional guarantees that our children or spouses, especially those of naturalized diasporans, will enjoy any automatic or simplified citizenship process. While I have citizenship and I've been here for more than 23 years, in every tax-paying and SNP-paying way, my son does not have access to that same process. Although my son has been here since a teenager, he doesn't have access to the citizenship unless when another presidential act ceremony comes up and I find a way to put his name on a list, my son can't become a citizen. Even though I own land in more than 4 regions, he can't technically inherit any of that land. And I only have one son. So I take that back. I have my son and my husband's daughter, who, if something happens to us, my property goes to my husband's daughter's family. Let me say it in a nice way, his other woman's family, because she's a young person. So I have to come up with legal instruments, engage other legal instruments to protect what I have for her. So I just want to say that there's no constitutional guarantees that our children or our spouses will enjoy automatic and a simplified citizenship process. And I just want to say this contradicts the spirit of full integration. And of course, it disrupts family unity for returning African diasporans. And in conclusion, I just want to add, to fully honor the Constitution's Pan-African commitments and embrace the return of its diaspora, Ghana must amend its Constitution or pass a Citizenship by Heritage Act. And I feel like such reform would, at the very least, begin to address the current legal inconsistencies, safeguard the rights of those who have returned in good faith, and ensure that the path to citizenship is transparent, equitable, and enduring. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Nana Kosia. Members, any follow-ups?
Chair, if I may?
Yes. Sure, please.
I have a quick question. I'm unclear why her son cannot.
I'm having difficulty hearing. Are you?
I just started.
Go ahead.
I'm having difficulty understanding why her son cannot inherit her property. I think we need some clarity there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Because he's not a citizen. Because I became a citizen when my son is an adult already.
Okay. So it's not.
But there's no law that stops citizens from inheriting or holding property in Ghana. It's just a constitutional thing that converts it into a 50-year lease maximum. But I'm not aware of any constitutional provision that says non-citizens cannot inherit or own property in Ghana.
Yeah. That is correct.
Okay,
So
that would be correct. So my concern would be the 50 versus a lease that any other citizen could take advantage of.
I see. I see. Okay. So your question, your point about I have had questions myself about this executive citizenship by presidential grant. And I have wondered, I haven't checked the various laws. Many of these things probably go back to the 60s. I recall that Nkrumah granted citizenship to W.E.B. Du Bois and others, which enabled them to become Ghanaian citizens and live here and all of that. And I've wondered actually what the legislative or constitutional basis for that presidential discretion is. I haven't figured it out myself. So you raise an interesting question about what the real status of those presidential grants are. You are suggesting that it is something that's purely discretionary. It is possible, given our legal culture around presidential power, that in fact, it may well be that president can just, get up and grant citizens to whoever they choose to or whoever they like to grant citizenship to. And while it may, while the beneficiary of that act, probably might feel okay, I think you do raise an important point that it does leave some uncertainty about exactly what the legal basis of that is. And I don't know, so we'll have to figure out or check to see whether or not there's any defect in that grant as far as the beneficiary is concerned. But regardless of the defect, I think in our conversations around the Constitution, issues have also been raised around the enormous power and discretion of the Ghanaian president, the power to do all manner of things. And I think this probably is one area that, it would take a person who is the beneficiary of such a grant, who is not a citizen of Ghana by birth, to actually experience that and bring it to our attention. But we have been looking broadly at just the wide scope of presidential discretion and how that somehow it's not conducive to good governance in our space. So I think it's an important point that you do raise here. And also, when you say that the dual citizenship, so again, thanks for this point about the political participation rights of dual citizens. Many of us who are dual citizens, like myself, basically suffer some of that liability as well, because by virtue of that law, certain positions are denied us, including those who are getting by birth, right? So our laws exclude such Ghanaians when it comes to certain positions. Not all public offices, certain high public offices, unless one renounces their citizenship. So I think we've had issues with Parliament, with certain executive offices and the like. But most recently, I think the Supreme Court, for some reason, is not in that exclusion list. But it's an issue that, Ghanaians by birth based in the US and Europe and other places also raise. So there is common cause to be made with them around this particular issue of the dual citizenship and its exclusion from political participation in certain instances. The citizenship by heritage, could you share with us, if you have access to, you mentioned Sierra Leone as one country that has moved in that direction. Did they do it legislatively or by constitutional amendment? And regardless of how they did it, do you have access to, you're saying citizenship by heritage, right? So there's a law in Sierra Leone now in place, presumably, that that recognizes that category of that pathway to citizenship based on heritage. And if there is, I guess we could Google and find it, but if you could also share it with the committee, that would be helpful.
Okay. I'm not certain of the legal instrument, but I do know that if you can prove your your birth by DNA and trace it back to the tribes in Sierra Leone, they do award you citizenship. And I have family members that have availed that, so I know it's true. But in terms of the legal instrument in which the president stands on that, I would have to do some research, and I can try. However, I want to, on the face of this conversation, say I'm sure it's by another presidential act.
Okay, it could be by some executive order or something as opposed to legislation.
But I'll try to find out. Thank you.
No, thanks. And then, I mean, this point, I think one of the things, again, I mentioned this in the earlier earlier conversation about just binary positions in our law, that it's either this or that, and that we miss shades of gray in the middle. So the pathways to, let's take naturalization, right? I mean, hello. Let's take naturalization. Now, would you know the different pathways to naturalization that we have? So we have the regular one, which is in the law, registration, you meet certain residency requirements or marriage to a Ghanaian and all of that. And then the presidential grant. Are these the only two options? I mean, are there multiple, does anyone know multiple pathways to naturalization in Ghana? Is everybody condemned to guess the mainstream process or presidential grant? Is that it? I mean, yes,
is
Mohammed.
This question for me? Or
yes, it would be for anybody here who knows the answer, because I just want to be sure what are what various pathways to citizenship are we talking about here? So you're proposing a new pathway based on heritage. And I'm asking currently, what are the pathways? We have the presidential grant, which is
those
purely
are the two that I
discretionary.
know of in terms in terms of our members avail. Specifically, I'm speaking to the African American Association of Ghana.
Sure.
We do have members. One particular, she's been here over 50 years. She's received citizenship by naturalization. And we have, I believe, very few, the ones that have been here 30 years, I think I have one or two that have received citizenship by their spouse. But even it took them a long time to do that. However, there were several in the 22 ceremony. Many of them have been here 50 years, 30 years, and were able to avail citizenship. There's one thing for it to be written in the Constitution. It's another thing for there to be a process for diasporans to actually apply for citizenship. A card currently that says non-citizen. After they became a citizen, they weren't allowed to change their cards over to citizen cards. So all of those people are still relatively feeling some kind of way, and they still walk around with non-citizen ID cards versus a citizenship cards. And I am totally excluding the emotional attachment to this. I'm just talking about, the practicality of what we're faced with.
Sure. So when you get the citizenship by presidential grant, what do you get? A naturalization certificate? What exactly do you get?
Thank you for that. Basically, you get you get your oath papers. And with your oath papers, you can now acquire a Ghana card as a citizen if you don't have one already. In addition to, you can take your oath papers and you can get a Ghanaian passport.
Okay.
Provided you have the Ghana card. Okay, it was different processes at different times. So let's say 2016, 2019, prior to the NIA actually taking off, you were able to take your oath papers and go straight to Ministry of Foreign Affairs to work with the passport
Like a
office to
passport.
acquire your passport, thereby giving, now you can go to the bank. When you go for your land, you can become like an administrative legal citizen. However, after NIA, it became a little bit more complex because you need now the Ghana card before you go to get the passport. So with the Ghana card, you have some people that are here, and before the Citizenship Act, they went to acquire a non-citizen Ghana card. But there's not really a process to transition over. There's no process in NIA to become from a non-citizen to a citizen.
I see.
So those are just a few of the administrative issues we have, in addition to not being able to get bank accounts.
I see. So what you call oath?
Sorry, I just wanted to add,
papers?
a lot of these people here that are 50 years, 30 years, myself included, we build our houses from carrying money through the airport, which even now we're scrutinized at the airports. I just came with my 85-year-old uncle, and I was asked, how much money am I carrying? And they interrogated my uncle, how much money are you carrying? Okay, that's a legitimate question, because we haven't been allowed to really partake in the administrative or access the administrative privilege of being a citizen, but we're still building houses, and this is how it's being done. Imagine people and then you become targets because you have this money in your house. So I just want to add that piece just to give you what it kind of looks like.
So what you describe as oath papers. So I mean, these would be the papers that you get when you go through the ceremony, the oath ceremony. Would that be the same papers that a person who did the regular naturalization would get? The same papers or different? Are these the same? Like, is it the naturalization certificates? Like, same, the oath papers you have, same as somebody who?
To be honest, I'm going to say I don't know, but I believe so, but I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. This is extremely helpful. Have you sent us, and I'm asking because I haven't gone to the database to see, have you sent us a written submission? I presume you have.
No, I have not sent a written submission, and I can send a written submission from the African American Association of Ghana. But again, I'm also co-convener of the Diaspora Coalition, in which we have several different diaspora groups underneath the Diaspora Coalition. We have the Ghana Caribbean Association, Jamaican Affairs, the Hebrew Israelites. We have the Rastafari Council. All of these different groups are very much interested into citizenship by heritage. So I don't want to designate myself as the official spokesperson. I just responded to the email, and I'm happy to have received it. But I do feel like that this is a different review session in and of itself that's very much complicated. Thank you.
Sure. So again, I mean, it would be most helpful if you could either just talk to the African American Association, and if they could send a formal submission along the lines that you have presented. If you could also talk to your other members in the coalition, if they have similar, and I presume they do, if they have similar concerns, then echoing your voices on each other's voices, I think is helpful. So if they could also send a written submission, it would be to submissions@constitutiongh.org, constitutionreviewgh.org. The window is still open, maybe for another month or so, but please encourage them to send in written submissions, and I would urge you to do so for yourself. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, and I will share that information. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And thank you for this committee, and thank you for this review.
You are most welcome. You did make an initial request. It may be difficult to grant because we're really tight for time, But when we have to schedule, we have yet to schedule an engagement again, which is virtual, with the Ghanaian diaspora. But I will take your point, and then our initial conception was actually Ghanaians by birth who are outside of here. That is usually the limited Ghanaian understanding of it. But I take your point. We could invite you back or your group to be participants in that larger conversation with the diaspora. And I think if that works for you, that's fine, because we may not have another engagement, another time slots to engage separately on that. So if you don't mind, and when we have the larger Ghana diaspora conversation, you could be part of it, or your coalition could join that. That would work with us. We really cannot. I don't think, given the constraints of time, open up another window exclusively for that conversation. But the wider diaspora conversation is yet to be had. So
I want to appeal to this committee that I think is very important, given the fact that there's almost 1,000 people this year that received citizenship by presidential act that belong to the historically unique group of diasporans. So I'm understanding that it's a time constraint, but we're available on the weekends. We're available at midnight. We see and deem it that important, because I don't sleep because of these kind of requests. I get these requests from mayors of cities. I have governors on my list. I have, celebrities. So I think it would do you all justice to try to do this so that you can really tap into this larger discussion, especially across the continent. So I just want to, I've heard everything you're saying, and I understand. I'm here on the ground with you. I'm here with you, but definitely it's worth trying. Thank you.
Maybe we could start with a written submission, right? It's easier when there's a written submission and we look at the matter and we say, okay, sure, this raises some novel issues that we want to understand better. Then we go further into that. Usually that's how we begin our conversations. There is something written, and then it raises questions in our minds, and we want to probe further or want to understand better. That's when we do the in-person invitations or the virtual. So maybe, this process of sending written submissions could help, right? If we see the written submissions and we think, we need to get back and understand, then we could follow up on that one. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So I think there is there's
May I
travel.
jump in on that last issue a bit on citizenship for people who marry Ghanaians? Thanks in large part to ISAG advocacy, there is now, I don't know quite how recently, but there are now streamlined procedures for getting the right of indefinite stay, Ghanaian green card. And once you've had that, I believe 3 years as a spouse, you're eligible to apply for citizenship. And quite a few of our members have done so successfully.
Oh, I see. So and this is only available for the Ghanaian spouses who have indefinite stay.
It's
So
for the
there's something like
foreign spouses of Ghanaians.
Yes, yes. So
I just
you're
want to
saying
add,
that
we
now.
don't fit in any category called foreign. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we're not coming as foreigners.
I get you. So you are saying that for the first category, that's recognized now under the Immigration Act of 2000, the foreign spouses of Ghanaians, there is now a clear process, a clear pathway to citizenship. Once you get indefinite, okay. And then so once you get your indefinite stay, which is like the green card, then you have like a 3-year period, you're saying?
I believe that's what it is. I'm not sure.
I see.
We can add that to our follow-up written submission.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Brooks. Okay, Gaskia Travel and then Mohammed Habib. Gaskia Travel, can you unmute and make your points?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. I am calling in reference to hometown and citizenship.
Hometown.
Hometown and citizenship. My grandfather was born in Kumasi Zongo. And
okay, so
I believe you are not on that yet.
So we are taking the issues in a particular order, right? So we've taken the presentation from the foreign spouses, and then we've taken the presentation from the African American community. We have a third presentation, and let me check if that is the one that you want to speak to. Then we can have you or whoever is speaking to that. So there's a submission by the representative of Peace and Reconciliation Committee under the Regional Chief Imam Kumasi, Ashanti region. He submitted a memo on children born in Ghana to non-Ghanaian parents who have resided here.
Yes, yes.
I mean, is that the group?
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, that's the one I'm referring to. Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead then.
So, okay, the issue is this: we are about 4 generations of non-Ghanaians born in Ghana, particularly in the Zongos of Ghana. And as you are all aware, all the Ghanaian forms are designed in such a way that you have to state your hometown. But we don't have any hometown apart from the Zongos. So this is the submission which I believe one Chakrilwan presented. So I am just calling to reinforce on that issue. The need for recognizing Zongos as the hometown of people of our type.
Okay. Hello? So okay. Are there others who are going to make the same so that we can take all of your contributions together and then follow up with questions? Is Mohammed Habib? Okay,
Yes,
Mohammed Habib,
yes.
go ahead.
Yes, Prof. Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Can we still go ahead with the Zongo issue?
Sure. We are on the Zongo issue. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is a pleasure because when you have this opportunity and the opportunity given is well served, you'll be able to make a move. Prof, I just want to ask this question. Looking at the constitutions, when it comes to that says a person born before 6 March 1957 is a citizen of Ghana by birth. And you go down to it, it says that if he was born in Ghana and at least one of his parents or grandparents was born in Ghana, or he was born outside Ghana and one of his parents was born in Ghana. But before I proceed, please, can you let me know who is that person? Does he have a color? Is he a tribe? Is he from somewhere? Let me have a clear view. Maybe it will help me to move forward.
No, I can't provide you answers to that question.
Okay,
I know
because
this
I'm
is
not a constitutional theory, so I can't go ahead.
No, it's a big issue. I think it's been an issue since 1957. I am very well familiar with the cases coming from Kumasi, especially from the Muslim Association Party and the persons who were expelled during the Nkrumah's time and then during Buzia's time and all of that. So there's a big issue around exactly at the time of independence who became a citizen and whether or not that is right.
Thank you very much. I think my brother, other colleague mentioned of the issue of a hometown is very, very serious. And why did I say it's very, very serious? You know, I'm the executive director for the Center for Youth and Literacy Development. And I'm also acting as the secretary for the Zongo Hausa Youth Association, whose great-grandparents were the indigenous founders of the Zongo communities, specifically in Ashanti and generally in Ghana. And this thing is becoming so, interested to the extent that we have the constitution clearly stated. But usually people at the helm of our affairs try to, for us to ask, we see that there is the abuse of rights in a sense that they are acting beside the constitutional, what do you call it, the constitutional provisions that, define who a citizen is. Historically, like my colleague said, my great-grandfather, built a house in Kumasi around 1845, which still exists. So assuming that person was alive when Ghana was found, and he assumes that at that moment he has to protect the interests of the country that he found himself. So he upheld and supported the constitution. So their grandchildren, how will you describe them when it comes to hometown? That has been the issue. You go there, excuse me, into court. They will ask you, are you from the north or you are from any part of the Ashanti? When you say no, even your name, you'll be surprised to meet your classmates and you'll be asking you these questions. Who knows? We are natured Ghanaian. Wherever we go, we are Ghanaian. Our blood is Ghanaian. We protect and defend the good name of Ghana. But he will look at you and say, Ufi, Nigeria, baby. Whereas you have never even been to Togo. So in this context, that is how we want, what we want to recommend to the Constitutional Review Committee. That's why I asked you that a person, who is that person? That's why I asked you that question. How are we going about that? For me, I can go and apply for a national ID card. I can go and apply for a certain reason I can defend myself. What about somebody who doesn't know that he has a right? Now, we are going outside. We are going to the issue of rights. Then your right is abused. Recently, we saw, an immigration officer beating a sister at their office because she challenged him that she has the right to apply for. So there was this beating, and it tells you in a context, the Constitution itself is there guiding us. But those at the helm of affairs are doing something different. So this is what we want to put in place for the Constitution to clearly state. If you are born in Zongo, Zongo is your hometown. I don't know, is it a crime to be a Zongo boy? Is it a crime to say you are Ghanaian? Is it a crime to say you are proud to be a Ghanaian? You are ready to hold the flag to defend the integrity of that country? Is it a crime? So if it is not a crime, I believe this is the right time for the committee to look at it and give us a clarification, a definition, so that we can defend our integrity, believe, and work for our country better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you answered the question I was going to ask you, which is what stops you from identifying your hometown as wherever you live in Ghana? So if you are from Abuabo, or if you are Aswasi or Abuabo, any one of those, why is that not an acceptable hometown to put on the form if there is such
they
a
don't
form?
accept it. They think it's alien. It's an alien entity. That's what they think in quote.
Okay.
In quote, that's what they see you.
So
they see you as an alien entity.
So that, of course, I mean, the law is what is written as law is one thing, and usually what the bureaucrats, what the bureaucrats who you go and meet in the office, and a lot of experiences, like that have been recounted by many people who interact with bureaucrats, whether at the births and deaths registry or wherever, that you can have a constitution, and then those who are there long time, they don't even care about the constitution. They are still doing what they do. And so sometimes, I mean, when you say the people at the helm, it may not be the people at the helm as such, right? It's the officials, day-to-day officials at the local office you go and meet who may be doing these things. And that is always a problem, right? Because the Constitution, trying to get every citizen to understand that, this is what the Constitution is a very big issue. Police, people, sometimes you have to educate them about people's rights in the Constitution. You know, so it's a big issue, but I get your point. Your submission, I thought your submission was actually raising a much bigger issue about the children who are, you know, like third, fourth generation children who, I thought you were asking a question about whether or not, you know, the law recognizes them as citizens, you know, and I was a bit interested in your submission because I thought you were raising doubts about the legal status of the people in the Zongo being citizens of
Yes,
Ghana. Is that a bigger question?
hello, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, Prof.
Sorry for interrupting. I suggest the one who made the petition, Sacred One, should be the one to make a statement if he's on the line so that we can follow up on that.
Yes, who sent that submission?
Sacred One, Sacred One. So, Sacred One, if you are there, please be on the floor so that we can come and speak afterwards.
Great, please.
All right.
You have the floor then.
All right.
Go ahead.
Salam alaikum.
No, it's not Sheikh speaking. No,
Is
please,
it
we want
is
a
it
Sacred One. Mali Ambia, Pacho, Sacred One.
Hello.
Malia, issue, Malia, issue. I'm a
Hello, good morning, Prof.
Yes, please.
This rep of Sheikh Ridwan. With
Go ahead.
regard to his memo, I want to speak on his behalf.
Okay.
Muslim Peace and Reconciliation Committee.
That's correct.
Already, some colleagues have earlier espoused the position of Sheikh Mohammed Ridwan. When completing either a form through bureaucratic system, such category of people are forced to select a particular village or town that exactly is not their hometown. Those in the Zongos, as you earlier alluded to the fact that, yes, it's a big problem. Some of them may decide to select Salaga, Boko, Tamale, and those registering for those bureaucratic systems, they are comfortable for those Zongos to select those areas from the north as their hometown. And you all know that that is a perjury. Example, someone who is born and bred in Tafu, Aswasi or Abu Abu, for instance. How are we able to compel that person because of his religion or name to mention a town or village in the north before you issue him either that passport, voter ID card, or Ghana card, which we all know is a perjury. So what Sheikh Ridwan is seeking is, with your audience, if you can make clear provisions or amendment or clause to inform those officialdom, those category of people have right to maintain their place of birth as their hometown, simplicity. That is the import of his memorandum, with all due respect, Professor. He is just beside me.
Yeah.
You need further clarification?
No, I think it's sufficiently clear to me. Maybe my other members may have follow-up questions, but I get your point. So it's mostly on this issue of your hometown and your right to designate the hometown that you know to be your hometown as opposed to
As
being
a birthplace.
Yes. Yes.
For instance, Mohammed Tanko, who is in Tafo, whenever he attempts to maintain Tafo as his hometown, he is challenged. He's challenged. They asked him, are you from Tafo by descent? He said, no, by birth. They said, no, you are not qualified by your name. If Akwesi or Mensa is not attached to that name. And so this individual is forced to mention a hometown somewhere in the north, and he is accepted, which we know in future it may come back to hurt that person.
Got it.
If further scrutiny is conducted and it's realized he's not from that town in the north, he may be prosecuted or disqualified for a particular post the person may vie in future. So it's a major issue of concern to those category of people you alluded earlier, accepted before the 1957 declaration. Their children, their grandchildren continue to struggle. Every now and then, you will bear with me, publication on radio, television, newspapers, their passports being withdrawn. They've been asked to leave registration center, though they duly qualify as Ghanaian per the provisions of the Constitution. However, due to difficulties or challenges with the bureaucratic system, so that is why Sheikh Mohammed Ridwan is seeking for clear and explicit clause.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I see
Prof,
my secretary's hand is up.
Yes.
Yes, please. Doc, go ahead.
Good morning, and good morning to all the participants. My name is Reina Kumperige. I'm a member of the committee. Now, there are two issues that come up in this presentation regarding hometown. And Prof has already echoed that constitutionally there's a pathway to citizenship, and that you are not restrained or precluded from accessing citizenship. Okay? That has to be made very, very clear. So the primary law provides a pathway to citizenship. And Prof has already asked that question, which is, are you in one way or one form or the other prevented from accessing citizenship or not? And you are talking about hometown and all of that. Now, the law may provide for certain rights to be exercised by citizens, but the citizens themselves must take up the responsibility to not just access that right, but to insist on its being exercised when the need arises. And so if you are compelled to state a hometown which is not your hometown, the citizens, as you are, have also an obligation to go to some institutions other than the birth and death registry or some other institution that is, let's say, the National Identification Authority, to go to the court. One way that you can realize the fruits of the Constitution is to insist on it and to go to court. If you can seek counsel and seek advice, that we know that our great-great-grandfathers were born here before the establishment of Ghana as a territorial state, and that we are entitled to be citizens, and that the Constitution allows us. But for some reason, some institutions are stopping us from doing that. And the point I'm making is that even if we make this amendment that you are asking us to, it does not guarantee that if you go to those institutions, they will do as the Constitution says. And so one way that the citizens can insist and enjoy their constitutional rights is to test it. And that's why I'm asking, if this matter is so pervasive, you are organized as Muslims communities, you are organized as imams and all of that. What stops you from taking a class action, retaining a lawyer or going to the legal aid, asking this primary question and asking that your rights in the Constitution are being violated one way or the other, and that you want the court to put a stop to it? And so it has to be very clear. And I'll conclude on this point by saying that you have a duty, besides the law providing for the existence of a certain right, to insist on it. And the best way to insist on it is to go to the court when the need arises, because the framers of the Constitution may not be at those births and deaths, or the National Identification Authority, or some of the bureaucracies to say that this is what we meant when we said that they are entitled to your constitutional right or citizenship. That is one comment. The second one, and I received one of the memos, in person. Someone came from Kumasi. I don't know if he's on this Zoom meeting. Met me. Yes, he's on. Yes, he met me in my office, and we had an extensive discussion. One of the issues, which I haven't heard so far, is that if you have two foreigners, because by the nature of our citizenship provisions under the Constitution, if you have two foreigners, and by foreigners I mean that both parents are not Ghanaians, but they have a child in Ghana, what is the status of that child? one of those issues that came up was that question, which we discussed, but that was a one-on-one discussion. If you want to elucidate, or if you like, make it more clearer for the entire discussion, so the chairman and the other members of the committee and the other participants can contribute, and so that we can all find solutions to that. Thank you so much, chairman.
But we are
Hello.
Hello.
Available. He may want to speak in P.
No, I can go ahead.
Okay.
Sure, please do.
Prof, we
Please go ahead.
discussed on that issue. If the both parents are foreigners and they have citizenship or they have legal backing to stay in Ghana, they should choose where they born to be a hometown of them. So if Constitution make a clauses on that, it may cover all of us. I think that was the issue we discussed.
So the problem you are alluding to is that in Ghana, because particular ethnic communities within the territory of Ghana, most people, almost all of us, choose our hometown either based on where our father is from or where our mother is from.
No,
right?
Professor has told me Ghana is aborigine. Yes, he has told me that. So I understood where he's coming and where he's going. So if I'm not in line in Aboriginal in Ghana, how can I choose my hometown? This is what I want the Constitution to be clear on it.
Okay,
Because I'm a
because
Hausa, and I can't say that I'm not a Hausa. I know Hausa Orange is not Ghana. So me, 57, give me that right. If 57 give me this right, I want Constitution to be made clear. I can choose where I born, like my hometown. That's what I'm looking for.
Sure. I get your point. I think we it's a very interesting conversation, So for example, I mean, let me give you an example. Say in America. In America, you come from where you are born. It doesn't matter where your own parents come from. Your parents,
that's the American law.
Your parents come from where they are also born. So one parent can come from Chicago, the other parent can come from Boston, and the son or the daughter is from Washington, D.C. Everybody chooses where they are born.
Yes.
And sometimes, in fact, you can even change it. Where you spend the most time, you can write your hometown, anything that you want. In Ghana, I think the issue you are raising is interesting because we are, this is like the ethnicity and citizenship. Right?
Now, yes.
Exactly. So most Ghanaians think that if you are a Ghanaian, you are from your mother's hometown or your father's hometown.
Yes.
Not from where you are born.
Yes.
So for a Ghanaian, if they think that if they ask me, where's your mother from? And I say, oh, my mother is from Jaso or Bogu or someplace. Then they'll say, oh, then you are from Bogu. Even though, I
you don't know Bongo.
Exactly. But if you are an Ashanti, that's how they'll say it. If you are something else. So I think the problem that we are discussing is that the people you meet in these offices, the public officials, their conception, their idea of who a Ghanaian is somebody with a certain ethnicity. And that ethnicity determines your hometown. And so if you don't have that ethnicity, then you have no hometown in Ghana, according to their thinking. Exactly.
Yes.
Right? So it is the way we have imposed ethnicity on citizenship is what is causing some of this problem, right?
Yes.
And so I just want to be sure that I understand.
Because we are multi-ethnic. Ghana is multi-ethnic. So it's not Ghana imposed, but it's multi-ethnic.
And so
they have to do that.
If your ethnicity is not originally If the ethnicity that you are coming from, say you are Hausa, right?
Yeah.
If Hausa is not originally a Ghanaian, is not considered as one of the original Ghanaian ethnicities, then you don't have a hometown in Ghana. So I get your point. I get
Yes,
your point.
and so earlier, Secretary Dr. Reiner is talking about going to court for interpretation. We are praying. Once this opportunity has availed itself, I beg that we may not need to go to court to enforce.
Anymore.
We are praying you make a necessary amendment or clauses to make it more clearer, so that even if in future somebody want to go to court, the court may have a precedent that no, there has been an amendment and so forth and so forth. We pray.
But you don't. But you don't have a particular provision in the Constitution that is causing the problem, right? There is the current Constitution. There is nothing there that is causing a problem.
Yes, Prof. Prof, per the current constitutions, we the sixth and seventh generation of Zongos, we don't have any issue. Actually, it's just that the other your colleague said, I've forgotten his name. We just need to test the law or make a case on it, because I've always been telling my colleagues that we don't have a problem with the constitution. It's just that the bureaucrats, like you said, are the ones that are taking their decisions based on their interpretation. So no, to be fair to our chiefs, our traditional rulers actually, Mesia, we always go to Mesia. Mesia will keep telling us that you are from here, you are from Asim, you are from Iceland. They tell us we are from there, you are not from anywhere. So when we go, I went for my 5th Ghanaian passport 2 months ago. And doc, anytime that I go for my passport, I need to struggle to defend myself. So imagine my friends and colleagues that are not educated or are not able to talk well or something. You know, that's the challenge. So what I've understood is we have the rights actually, but the process is not right for us. So whether there is a way that in your review you can make things clearer, because so that it will be so visible for these people not to hinder our activities. Yeah, this is what we are seeking.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions from the membership? Oh, I have one.
So I raised the other point, which also came up, during my one-on-one with the one who presented the memo, which is if you have 2 persons who are not Ghanaian by constitutional definition, and they give birth to a child in Ghana, that child is not a Ghanaian.
Yes.
But that child may be socialized in Ghana from kindergarten, primary, JSS, university, national service, pension, everything living in Ghana. But because his parents do not qualify by constitutional definition of who becomes a Ghanaian, may be precluded, or if will not have a pathway to citizen. That's the other thing that came up. And then I thought that, in a broader discussion, we can deal with that as well. Thank you.
Yes. In fact, that exactly is the issue I thought was on the table. This particular category, and whether we're asking that if such a person, if such a child wanted to be a citizen, even though his or her parents were not, but by virtue of having lived in Ghana, being born here, done everything here, knows no other country but Ghana, right? The parents do not intend to go back anywhere. They are just here. They have indefinite stay. They may not want to be citizens, but they don't have a plan to go anywhere. What do we do about that person? Should there be an accelerated pathway for citizenship for that child when they get to 18 or whatever? I mean, we thought that was the problem that was being raised by the submission, but it appears that is not the way.
Can I come in? I want to come in, please.
Who is this now? Nuruddin?
This Alhaji Inus Bawa.
Okay, Bawa.
Yes,
go ahead.
And yes, I also want to contribute on same issue that which the Sheikh represented. And what I just want the doc, I think your other colleague to understand that. I think he has also understood that the Constitution is unambiguous. This thing, what do you call it? The Citizens Act 2000. When you look at Section 1 up to 7, and even I think it's Section 7 talks about a child that you are talking about, and that one is saying that when a child is found in Ghana without identifying the child's parents, the child is automatically, would attain a citizenship of the country. In fact, we have been facing problem with the Zungu. So it's very, very important issue. When you look at the recent past registration, the voters ID card, and then with the Ghana card, many people were denied citizenship. For instance, my father was born back at 1887. With my grandfather came to Ghana, and explicitly the Constitution says, and even with all the amendments, that if your parents were born before 57, I think it took it started from that 57, and then subsequently with all those amendments. So it's unambiguous. But it is the same issue that you have addressed. Because of the ethnicity, the level of ethnicity in the country, when you are going to register, in most of the requirements, they would request where the place of birth, the place of your grandparents, and which village in Ghana did your grandparents comes from. So those are the issues that we need to change. So at times it is the policies that is contradicting the Constitution. So when we draft something, asking somebody, maybe somebody from Ezungu who doesn't know, for me, for instance, even my father did not know he's from Hausa, Nigeria, but he doesn't know even his hometown. Likewise, we this thing, and he gave birth to over 40 children here in Ghana. You understand? So the other issues, the issue that you have when we are drafting a policy or something like a document, at least we should find a way to fine-tune those things. Asking somebody if the person could not give where the grandparents came from in Ghana, then automatically the person is disqualified to be a Ghanaian. That's the understanding of Ghanaians. But we are these things too are in two categories. I've understood that yes, some people came to Ghana quite recently, before even before 1957 and the other amendments. So those people, to be frank with you, they are not qualified to be Ghanaian, unless of course they could be Ghanaians by naturalizing or something of that sort, which the Constitution explains in all those things. So it is very, 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 very important issues that we are talking about here. But I have even spoken to the Sheikh, and I told him if he could, because he could not withdraw what he brought, he just sent it to me. But we need to sit down with him and also I can give, because I just don't want to delay people. I have an experience, a whole lot of experience and examples that we need to cite in that his memorandum, which the professor you could take for this thing. That would be very easy for you to deliberate on it.
No, I think your intervention has been extremely helpful too. So essentially the gist of the point you're making is that in our current, official or bureaucratic practice, people are using your parents' hometown
Yes.
As almost a proxy or for your citizenship, and that if your parent
Exactly
doesn't have a hometown in Ghana or your grandparent doesn't have a hometown in Ghana, then you are deemed not to be a citizen by virtue of
exactly so. Exactly so, Prof.
yeah. Okay, I see.
Exactly
I see.
so. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the issue.
Now,
That's the only issue. And that has happened to these people, so to many people here. Quite apart from me, I was born in Ejura. You understand? As I said, I told you when my father was born. And you imagine my father was almost about 115 years before before his demise. You understand? And there's a similar thing happened to a people, some group of Chambers here in Accra, and they lived with IC Quays and Co. And they knew them.
Right. That's
the
right.
last person even demise, he was about 100 years. He just, I think, he passed on 6 months ago. But the similar thing happened to his children. When they went for the registration, they were asking, where from your grandparents? They want you to quote maybe at the north. Me, like this, my father has, he has about 4 wives. We have the Gombes, we have Mamprusis, we have a lot of tribes in our district. You understand? But because my father, we normally, we because of our father, we considered ourselves as houses. So you don't have to lie to the people that maybe if you are some of us can say, fine, we have a hometown, our mother's hometown. You understand, which is also one of the distance, but it's not what the Constitution is actually saying. In that regards to either one of your parents is a Ghanaian or from this, that one too is one part of it. So it's very, very, very important. So when you are drafting things like maybe a policy, like for birth certificate and other things, in fact, do well to factor those things. Those were the issues that are disturbing the Zungos. And in fact, it is a problem. So this thing has been always everywhere. You can see people fighting and arguing and all those things. So we are pleading with you, Prof, to do something about it. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, please. So you can go on, please.
I think Prof is lost.
I think you can hear me.
No. Okay. No, he's there.
I'm here.
He's there, okay.
Okay. Hello, Prof.
I had a follow-up question based on recent incidents. And even though you said that the main concern that you have is this hometown business. Now, recently, issues have arisen around, so when a president chooses MMDC and all of that, in certain parts of the country, I've read, I have taken notice of the fact that say in the Ashanti region, for example, certain people are appointed in an area, and then they say, well, he's not an Ashanti or he's not from the Ashanti region. Is this the same problem? Or is this different?
It's the same problem.
Okay, it's a hometown problem.
It's the same problem.
I think, Prof. Okay. Prof, I beg to differ on that. I think that one has to do more with political, because there were instances.
No, I just want. So I just let me explain exactly what is happening, so that some of these people, maybe they belong to a particular party, of course, and then the party presents their name to the president. The president appoints them MMDC. Yes. And what I have seen on social media is a list of people, and then they will say, well, look at the whole list. None of them is from the Ashanti region.
Right? Yes.
Because it's based on their last name or on their religion or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm saying, is this the same type of problem that is manifesting itself in different ways?
Yes, Prof.
Is it the
Yes,
same?
yes,
So,
Prof. Yes,
Prof, let
yes,
me
yes.
chip in, please. Let me chip in another issue. Prof has brought another angle, and the other angle is that what I have observed from registration of whatever the statutory registration of maybe the Ghana card or more especially when your name is a Muslim name, if you don't have any name attached like a Ghanaian name, then that's where you will be queried, and they will start posting a whole lot of questions that would go back to your hometown, your children, your grandparents, and other things. So that the name is also important, and mostly we Muslims, some of us, we don't even use, even most of the Northerners don't even use the traditional name. So they can use like Inu Sabawa, like Mohammed Ridwan, and so on and so forth. So this one too is another issue. And then the issue that you brought to is an important issue, because if all this issue is taken care of, I don't think even this thing, because mostly it's the politicians, they are causing all these things, to be very frank with you. They are the politicians, because that's where people think some have advantage over others regarding the Zongos and other things. So they mostly want to disenfranchise people. So please, it is very, very, very important. And I think we will present much elaborated documents and like examples to you for you to consider.
I think that would be helpful if you can really bring a submission in writing.
We will do. We will do. I will liaise with Sheikh Ridwan, and we will do that.
Hello,
Please.
Prof.
Thank you very much.
Well, most welcome.
Okay. Hello,
Yes.
Prof. And yes, it's Nuruddin, please. I thank you. But we ended up being educated. So I think the second issue that was raised about two non-Ghanaians give in Ghana, which the constitution stipulates that that child isn't a Ghanaian, actually isn't a main issue for us in the Zongos. Because for all of us that are here, we are sixth and seventh generations, so we fall out of that restrictions. But I think it is one of the things that is bringing us problems. I think it has to do more with the Zongo people knowing who they are. You know, if I'm a Zabarma, but I qualify to be a Ghanaian. And Prof, I want to ask this thing as a learner. I believe the Constitution doesn't give citizenship based on ethnicity or tribe, right?
Sure.
Yes. So if I'm a Zabarma, and then there are two Zabarmas couples that came from Nigeria or somewhere else to come and give birth to a child in Ghana, the Constitution says that child isn't a Ghanaian. So it isn't our concern, as the Constitution is saying, unless maybe you, the framers of the Constitution, thinks otherwise. So this is my understanding of the whole situation, because for us, ours, you made it known to us that constitutionally, and we just need to test the law or take a class action, as you say it. So that other issue doesn't really affect us, because there are two non-Ghanaians that have given birth to a child in Ghana. The child can only become a Ghanaian if the child was found in Ghana, maybe without a parent. I don't want to. I don't know whether I'm correct. I want to be correct.
Why
Yes.
don't you want us to talk about the status of that child? I'm not even talking about his parents. We are talking about the child who didn't choose who his parents are.
That's what I said. Unless it's not that, no, we came to this. We didn't know about this actually. This is what I mean. What we knew about was the first the issue. You could see that what we're talking about was even off board when I realized. So the other issue is how the framers of the Constitution will be able to review to make that child a Ghanaian. But the current concern, you could see that most of the challenges that everybody is raising is actually not on that. I'm the one that I decided to talk about it, because we have different challenges, which is actually not an original problem to us. It's just our inability to
I
challenge
just
it.
wanted to know that when we pick a topic or a cluster as a committee and we're discussing, we are discussing it as a whole. This process is not a place to come and lament or tell your particular problem. It is the Constitution, like Chairman always says, is to solve problems. That's what we're seeking to do.
Okay.
So the problems as they exist, even if they don't have voices now, we need to echo those voices so they are not repeated in the future. That's the context with which we are discussing this, that we're not particularizing, because you have a voice and you can say the issues that concern you now. How about those children? And that we don't have we don't want to come out of this process and then leave others behind just because they did not have particular representation when the processes was ongoing. I think you understand the context, and that is why
I
we
understand.
need to
I
have a
understand.
holistic conversation, not just because certain problems exist, but because we want to solve problems now and for the future. Thank you.
Okay, I understand, Doc. Okay, so, Prof, beyond the CRC, I think Sheikh that led us, and we have Alhaji Ahmed Tijani, we actually have some quite elders, influential elders among us. I don't know whether it is within your remit to offer like guidance to us in order to solve the previous issue, which actually isn't a constitutional issue for us, while the Constitutional Review Committee also looks at those that have non-Ghanaian parents but are born in Ghana. Are we able to get that kind of services from you?
Well, the issue that we thought was raised initially, I think is an issue of interest because I think part of what we were trying to look at is the status of that child. If that child, or even the next generation, if there's a similar problem with the next generation after that child, but this is the only country that child knows. This is the only society they know. They have never not gone anywhere. They have nowhere else to go.
Yes.
By law, they are not citizens because their immediate parentage are not citizens of Ghana. The question is that there are other pathways to citizenship, for example, naturalization. Should a child like that be put on the fast track, for example? Exactly. Or should they, because there are different groups with different interests. And if you happen to be caught in this situation as a child and say you turn 18 years and you are an adult, should you be given a different track so that you can become a Ghanaian citizen and this uncertainty about your status here will end? So that is the kind of question that, Reina was also trying to ask, that basically initially that's what we thought this submission was about.
Okay.
But then it turns out to be about some other things.
Yes.
So it's fine. It's fine that other issues have come up, which I didn't think that was what the submission was raising. But it turns out that this is also a critical problem, and if it has come to our attention in this form, that's fine. If you can just write it out, if as a community or constituency you want to get together and put out a memo to us explaining further what we have said here, that would be very helpful because we really want something in document form. It's easier for us when we see the proposals, when we see your problem stated in clear form like that. When we are going back to do the work, we can refer to it because after this conversation, we may not be able to refer back to the conversation, even though it's been recorded.
Okay, Doc. We'll support Sheikh Redwan in that, Godwin.
All right. I think
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ahmed Tijani, please, Prof.
Yes.
Yeah, please. I just want to say thank you for your wonderful work that you are doing and thank Sheikh Ridwan for this initiative. We have wonderful knowledge here. Since what we don't know, we know it now. And as you all said, my brother said it all. So what I want to say now, inshallah, we'll go back with the Sheikh, sit down and make it more easier for us so that we achieve our aims. Really, it's a problem. It's a lot problem for us. Now we are not thinking of ourselves, we are thinking of our next generation. It means our children and grandchildren who are coming after us. Once again, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Hope we see you, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for making time to participate in this conversation and giving us your insights and enlightening us about this problem. If
Hello.
anyone...
Thank you, Doctor.
Hello, Prof.
Prof, thank you for the opportunity.
We are grateful, Prof.
And
thank you,
we are
Sheikh.
very much pleased. We are very much pleased. Thank you.
Thank you, Alhaji Bawa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Dr. Reina.
That's right.
He has got a very tight time with me. He gave me 5 minutes. He gave me 5 minutes, but when I got inside, he was interested to hear me. I have 25 minutes with him.
It was more than 25 minutes.
Yes, I saw very hard time. People are entering, going out, and he's trying to prevent people of entering because he wants to hear me. So thank him, and we look of them to try and solve this problem for the humanity.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Prof.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much
Bye-bye,
for joining us. Thank you. I think we have come to the end of the day. Is that correct, Kweku? That is the last item.
Yes, please, Prof. That's the last.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
So I think it's been a very productive morning, and all of those who have promised to send us written submissions, please send them to us. Submissions at constitutionreviewgh.org. It will be acknowledged, and it will go a long way to assist the committee in doing the work. Much. Who? Sharif, somebody wants to talk? Chef. Okay.
Yeah, Prof, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry. Chef?
Prof, good afternoon. Yeah, over here where I am, it's afternoon. It's 12:30. Good afternoon to you all.
You are calling from the...
I'm calling from Kumasi. Yeah, Kumasi.
In Kumasi, okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. Prof, wonderful submission from some of my colleagues, Habib, Nuruddin, Tijani, and Alhaji Redwan. Please, what I want to add is about a child whose parents both are not from Ghana, but gave birth to the child in Ghana. I would like to plead with you, in your report or in your review of the Constitution, I know the Constitution states that if the child is born here and the parents are not here, naturally he's not a Ghanaian. But I would like you to maybe, in your review, to suggest to Parliament that there is a concern, or people are raising concern, that a child with both parents not Ghanaian, but he is born in Ghana, should be considered to be a Ghanaian. Because if he's asked where he's coming from, he will say he's coming from Abu Abu, for example, or Ofuriflu. But whilst the Constitution is silent on hometown, you don't enforce me to go and say, to tell you my hometown, where I'm coming from. If you are going to base on my hometown, most of us will be disqualified from what? Being Ghanaian. Last, I quite remember when I went to register my, what do you call it, voter ID card.
I think that issue has been made, right? I mean, we have almost sorted that issue out about the hometown. But the point you are making is about the child born to non-Ghanaian parents.
Yes.
And of course, citizenship laws are one of the most difficult to change. I mean, anywhere in the world, right? But there are mostly two different ways to do it.
Okay.
Some countries adopt the place of birth. I mean, like in some countries, citizenship is by soil. If you are born on the soil, then you are a citizen.
Yes.
In other countries, it's by blood. If
By
your
blood.
parents, one of them is a citizen, then you are a citizen.
Okay.
I don't know many places that mix them, but it's okay. But what you are saying, I mean, what may be difficult for the committee to propose is for Ghana to change. Ghana is one of those countries that uses citizenship by blood, which is
By
by
blood.
ancestry or by parentage.
Okay.
However, if you are born here on the soil of Ghana, even though by blood or by parentage your parents are not Ghanaian, you can still become a Ghanaian
By
through
naturalization.
the process of naturalization, right?
Okay. Okay.
So the point we are exploring is if it is possible for those children who do not know any other place but Ghana, have gone to school here, have spent all their lives here, but their
Yes.
parents are not Ghanaian.
Yes.
Is it possible for them to have an easier way to naturalization than the normal way?
Yeah,
I think
it should
that's
be.
exactly. I think that
Yeah,
is
it
what we
should
are
be.
discussing.
It should be. Yeah, it should be. It should be.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Prof.
Sure. You're most welcome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So I think that's the last comment, unless there are other comments from the members. We can, I think, draw the curtain on this particular engagement and call it a day. It's almost 12:30, so 2.5 hours. I think it's good enough. Any other comments from members? The Secretariat? All right. Okay, then. I think we will bring this engagement to a close. Thank you all for coming. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sure, bye.